Chapter 401 Execute Heavenly Punishment. When Su Ming spoke, the eyeball grew larger, continuing to move forward, and swiftly became the size of a fist. Red capillaries spread all over its surface, and the 8 trigrams appeared faintly on it. Due to its unique appearance, the eyeball gave off a strange and savage presence. The instant Su Ming flung that eyeball forward, a faint glint appeared in Di Qian's eyes, but he did not stop even for a moment. He simply continued with his actions, as if there was no one and no power in the world that could make him stop even for a single moment if he wanted to continue advancing forward. Even the ancient art of Hidden Dragon sect could not do so. Besides, even if the ancient art had a great reputation for its power, the old man from Hidden Dragon sect had only been able to cast a shred of that art. Even if the red-haired Su Ming could push it slightly closer to perfection, it still could not compare to the true form of the ancient art. Yet even so, since it was an ancient art, it was of an incredibly high level among all the divine abilities and arts. The power it contained was enough to destroy the sky and earth. Once that eyeball swelled up, the 8 trigrams within flashed, and a dark power shot out from inside. At the same time that power spread out, the originally bright sky suddenly darkened. Mumbling sounds could be heard echoing in the air, causing people to be unable to hear what was being said clearly. The sounds grew louder and the number of voices increased. Eventually, they reached a volume so shocking it could shake the sky and earth, deafening the ears. It was as if there was an endless amount of invisible people in the area mumbling at the same time. Right then, the 8 trigrams in the eyeball started turning slowly, increasing in speed, and in the blink of an eye, the eyeball could no longer be seen clearly. With his ever-calm face, Di Qian walked over, as if he was completely unconcerned by the strangeness of the eyeball and the endless mumbling voices around him. He merely formed a seal with his right hand, and as he moved forward, he pointed at that eyeball with it. I am the heavens. All manner of living exists beneath the sky. Under my rule, all the living are given different souls. If I am unwilling, I can retrieve those souls. Heavenly deprivation of souls. The moment Di Qian calmly said those words, without a shred of emotion, he pointed at the eyeball in the air with his right index finger. The instant he did so, the turning of the 8 trigrams in the eyeball started slowing down, and the mumbling voices around them that had just reached a certain volume instantly showed signs of weakening, becoming much softer. By the looks of it, it would only take the span of a few breaths before they would completely disappear. Su Ming's expression immediately darkened. He was once again shocked by Di Qian's power. As his expression changed, he instantly bit his tongue and coughed out a mouthful of blood, then let out a low shout. Hidden, shatter. Execution of justice, explode. The instant Su Ming's words were spoken, the blood capillaries in the eyeball shone with a red glare and a large amount of light spread through the eyeball. It exploded abruptly, and the swirling 8 trigrams within broke away. Once they absorbed the force of the eyeball's explosion, the 8 trigrams continued swirling. They then charged towards Di Qian with a howl. At the same time, the volume of the mumbling voices around the area increased exponentially. All of them rushed towards Di Qian, causing a large amount of ripples and distortions to appear around him. Su Ming knew that it was difficult for this art to have a great effect on Di Qian. However, it should be able to hold him back for several breaths. Su Ming did not bother looking at the outcome of the ancient art. He swiftly moved back, and as he did so, he started forming seals with his hands. His red hair shone with an enchanting glow, and the crimson hue in his eyes was even more brilliant. In fact, his entire body, including his skin, was shining with such a bright shade of red that it seemed to illuminate the sky. That shade of red was like blood, and it was a terrifying sight to behold. I don't believe that I can't even kill your projection. A ferocious expression appeared on Su Ming's face. As he formed seals, he turned around abruptly, transforming into a red whirlwind. Howling sounds reverberated in the air, and a large amount of bloody spots immediately appeared on Su Ming's skin. Once those blood spots appeared, a large amount of fresh blood seeped out of his skin, and right at the moment that blood appeared, it was immediately sucked into the whirlwind. After several breaths, a layer of blood fog filled the entire area outside the red whirlwind. It was Su Ming's blood. Blood art. Su Ming's voice came from within the whirlwind. At that moment, his face was pale. Most of his blood had been forced out of his body to cast the forbidden divine ability that he could only cast when he was at the peak of his condition. The moment Su Ming spoke up, the whirlwind, inside of which he was in, came to an abrupt halt, and once the whirlwind froze for an instant, the blood fog used the whirlwind's turning force to spread out. It covered the entire sky, dyeing it instantly red. At the same time, Su Ming stomped downwards with his right foot and threw himself higher, disappearing into the blood fog. Purge the heavens. When Su Ming disappeared into the sky, it was as if the sky roared. The instant muffled buzzing sound spread out, the blood fog started multiplying swiftly. It only took an instant for the fog to increase so much that it turned into a wave of blood. With the sky as the sea, and with crimson as its color, the entire sky turned into an endless sea of blood. That sea roared and raged in the sky, bringing up a large amount of furious waves. From the distance, this scene was like the apocalypse, and if anyone saw it, their hearts would tremble in disbelief. From the sea of blood that filled the entire sky, a gigantic face protruded. It covered about half of the sea, and that face belonged to Su Ming. It was as if the sea of blood was his hair and his body had become so big it could not be measured. He stood in the sky like the might of heaven itself and roared at Di Qian. Then, bringing the sea of blood with him, he charged. At that moment, the distortions and ripples caused by the endless mumbling voices from the hidden execution of justice disappeared around Di Qian, revealing his body within. He lifted his right hand, and on his palm were the 8 trigrams that had charged towards him while spinning. Holding the 8 trigrams in his hand, he lifted his head to look at the sky. He curled his right hand into a fist, and the 8 trigrams immediately crumbled, turning into an endless amount of fragments that fell and scattered away. They turned into glittering sparks of light that shone for a moment before they faded away and disappeared. With a swing of mine arm, I can submerge the sun and moon. How dare thou art use tainted blood to stain the sky ere me? With a calm expression on his face, Di Qian spoke with a dull tone, and as he did so, he swung his arm towards the sky, right in the face of the rapidly incoming sea of blood and Su Ming's bloody figure within. That one swing immediately caused his emperor's robe to shine, before fading off a little. Some wrinkles also appeared on his skin, but it would be difficult to notice unless someone looked closely. However, clearly, while this swing of the arm intending to submerge the sun and moon might seem easy to do, in truth, to Di Qian, this was not an ordinary swing of his arm. Golden light erupted forth from his body. Following the movements of his swing, the golden light appeared and spread swiftly in the sky above him, seemingly turning into a gigantic golden sea under that sea of blood. There was a colossal amount of power contained within that gigantic golden sea. If the sea of blood gave others a feeling that the red-haired Su Ming was an evil incarnate, then compared to the strangeness of the sea of blood, if anyone was watching by the side, they would feel that Di Qian was filled with righteousness and justice. A large amount of waves churned in that golden sea, and as it continued closing in on that sea of blood, its appearance changed into that of a sleeve. It was a golden sleeve formed by the golden sea. It swung at the incoming sea of blood. Both crashed into each other in an instant. A shocking boom resounded in the sky and spread through a small part of the land of the shamans, causing the ground to tremble. As the sound spread, all the powerful warriors in the land of the shamans noticed it, all the powerful warriors in the land of the berserkers sensed it, and they were all shaken to the core. The booming sounds continued to reverberate in the air, and the sea of blood in the sky was destroyed. When that golden sleeve swung at it, it shattered, and once it turned back into the blood fog, it crumbled once again. Eventually, the fragmented blood fog gathered in midair and turned back into Su Ming. Blood trickled down the corners of Su Ming's lips. His face was pale, and that fiery red hair of his had also become dull. There were multiple tears on his robes, and once he formed, he was forced back several thousands of feet. He coughed out a huge mouthful of blood, and a crimson glare appeared in his eyes. I can't accept this. It's impossible that I can't even fight against a clone of his. Su Ming stared at Di Qian, who stood in the distance. The strength of this Di Qian had surpassed what he was in his faded memories. It made him feel bitter, but at the same time, also incredibly disgruntled. Di Qian's face was still as aloof as ever. He lifted his foot and walked towards Su Ming. Since the start, he had been like this, taking his time doing everything, like a king walking in his own world. It was as if even if the sky crumbled and the earth shattered, he would not show a hint of emotion. Perhaps there was truly nothing in the world that could affect him in the slightest bit. Since thou art unwilling to be sealed, I wilt grant thy wish. I wilt scatter thy soul and separate thy spirit from this body. Thou hast breathed thy last breath far into the past, yet due to mine seal, I allowed thee to escape heaven's punishment. Now, as thou wilt be scattered away, thou must receive heaven's punishment once again. I am the heavens, and I shalt bestow unto thee heaven's punishment. Xianxia spoke slowly, and as he walked toward Su Ming, he lifted his right hand and swung it at the sky. Thou art not a soul of this land. There is no need for the berserkers' heavens to execute their punishment unto thee. Times hath changed, and the heavens now belong to the immortals. With a swing of Xianxia's arm, a strange change appeared in the sky. It suddenly darkened, and this was not due to the sky being covered up. Instead, the sky which could be seen had turned into night, as if the sun and moon had reversed their positions. Stars shone in the sky, but those stars grew indistinct, and some of them began moving. In the blink of an eye, a shocking sight appeared in the sky. The stars were enough to make any shaman or berserker feel that they were unfamiliar with them when they looked up. This was no longer the sky belonging to the berserker tribe. The sky caused all the immortals in the land of South Morning show expressions of fear and confusion, because this sky belonged to the immortals. If the real Su Ming was awake at this moment, he would definitely be able to recognize that the sky was almost the exact same as the illusionary starry sky that appeared above Dark Mountain in the past when his elder had used the flagpole and changed the sky. Chapter 402, Dragon Veins of Earth. The sight of Xianxia changing the sky with just a swing of his sleeve fell into the red-haired Su Ming's eyes, and great bitterness appeared on his face. So his power has already reached this level? This is the power equivalent to that of a lord of World Plane. But even so, I won't give up. So what if he's a lord of World Plane? The red-haired Su Ming sucked in a deep breath and forced down the bitterness in his heart. A determined look appeared on his face. He did not bother himself with Xianxia casting his art. Instead, he took a step towards the ground and landed on the land several tens of thousands away. The earth was soft, and since it lost some of its soul, Su Ming felt as if he was stepping on mud once he landed, and half of his body sank into the soil. He chose to sit down cross-legged. Placing his hands on the earth beside him, he closed his eyes, and mumbling sounds started falling off his lips. At that moment, Xianxia was looking at Su Ming's actions coldly. Once he swung his right arm and changed the sky, he pushed against the sky with all 5 of his fingers. The heaven's punishment is divided in 9 levels of yang and 9 levels of yin. With thy sins, thou shalt bear the punishment of 6 levels of yang and 7 levels of yin. Death is assured at the 3rd day of the 6 upon 7 days of punishment. The first day is the punishment of the dragon of yin. As Xianxia spoke, the wind of yin instantly stirred up in the sky of the immortals. That wind of yin had physical form and contained a faint, greenish hue. As it gathered in the sky, the greenish hue reflected the light of the stars, turning into a long dragon, and it immediately started pacing about in the sky while letting out low, ferocious growls. Once a dragon of yin appeared, a large amount of wind of yin gathered together, and gradually, more dragons of yin appeared in succession, as the greenish hue of the wind reflected the light of the stars. Eventually, there were 9 dragons of yin, and they started roaring at the ground from the sky. Their voices boomed, and a destructive presence spread out from their bodies to travel in all directions. If anyone took a closer look, they would be able to tell that the wind of yin that formed the bodies of these 9 dragons of yin were made of numerous faces. These faces looked as if they were imprinted onto the bodies of the dragons of yin. The protruding parts of their bodies were made of struggling hands and feet. Pain could be seen on the faces, and those wailing voices grouped together to form the dragons of yin roars. Su Ming sat on the ground with a pale face. There were still specks of blood left at the corners of his mouth. As he continued mumbling, gradually, the ground lost its soft texture. An indistinct presence started seeping out of it. Earth of this world, I can feel your damage and your grudge. I can feel the ties between you disappearing and fading away once your body was severed. I need to borrow your power. Please, lend to me the power of the dragon veins belonging to you. Su Ming's voice reverberated in the air. The presence around him from the ground increased. If anyone looked from the sky, they would find that the ground where Su Ming was had turned into a foggy swamp. However, compared to the entire land of South Morning, the earthen aura contained within the small swamp of fog was simply insignificant. Di Qian started forming seals with his right hand and pointed towards the sky once again. The second punishment out of the 6 upon 7 days of punishment is the illusionary pus. Di Qian's voice was calm. When his words traveled out, rumbling sounds immediately rang out in the sky of the immortals, and gigantic bumps slowly formed in the sky in a descending manner. The insides of each and every one of the boils was murky, and a foul stench spread out, as if these bumps were filled with the most unclean things contained in the world. This scene would make a person's skin crawl. The entire sky seemed to have turned into a toad's skin. At the same time this happened, a dark light began shining from within. If anyone took a closer look, they would find that these bumps numbered to 67. Su Ming's face grew increasingly paler. He opened his eyes, and while the earthen aura he borrowed from around him seemed like quite a lot, in truth, it was not enough. Bitterness appeared on his face. Earth of this world, with my name, I call upon you. Earthen aura, turn into a dragon. You have turned into a vein of the earth through ages of nurturing. I need your help. Awaken, dragon veins of the earth. Awaken, power of the earth. Upon my name, wake up. Veins popped up on Su Ming's hands, which were pressed against the earth. They held onto the ground with a death grip, and instantly, layers upon layers of fog seeped out from around him. As it spread, it came from the earth of a circular area of 10 lees, 100, 1,000, then 10,000. Once it began, it turned into a sea of fog that covered 10,000 lees, and that area was still spreading outwards. However, Su Ming still looked bitter. The earthen aura he borrowed might be plentiful and the area was still spreading outwards, but both were all in fragments. Even if that earthen aura could gain the form of a dragon under his divine ability, it would just be an illusion, just like the earthen aura he summoned a few days prior. It was enough for him to deal with normal people, but using it to attack Di Qian was like striking a stone with an egg. He would only have a chance of fighting against Di Qian if he awakened all the dragon veins in the land of South Morning, or else, all those thoughts of defeating Di Qian would remain a dream. The third punishment out of the 6 upon 7 days of punishment is the birth of spirits. Di Qian's voice echoed in the sky, and his words were filled with might, along with calmness. It was as if he was not bothered that the red-haired Su Ming might try to escape. Perhaps more accurately speaking, he believed he could control everything in the world where he was at the moment. When he spoke, the murky insides of the 6 to 7 protruding boils suddenly shone with a brilliant dark light, and cicada-like creatures appeared inside. These creatures may look like cicadas, but they were entirely black. Their appearances were savage, and once they appeared, they started knocking against the bumps from within. Screeches could also be heard from inside. There was only one of these creatures in each of the boils, and there were 6 to 7 of them. At that moment, Su Ming was staring at the strange sight in the sky from his seated position. The fog around the circular area of 100,000 lees may already be so thick that it looked like a sea and was giving off a shocking presence, but Su Ming knew that this was absolutely not enough. Upon my name, Su Ming, awaken, dragon veins of earth. With his hands holding onto the ground in a death grip, the red-haired Su Ming let out a low growl. The instant he growled, the dragon veins of earth that he could not awaken even after so long started responding to him. The earth of the entire land of South Morning started trembling lightly at that instant. Those tremors affected the entire area of the continent, and there were 4 spots that shook especially violently. South Morning contained 4.5 dragon veins. Besides that incomplete dragon vein located to the edge of the land to the east, 2 of the 4 dragon veins were in the land of the shamans, while the remaining 2 were in the land of the berserkers. At that moment, the dragon vein that was responding to Su Ming was one located in an area about several tens of thousands of lees away from where he was. It was a dragon vein located in the land of the shamans. It was not a mountain range, but a long river. That long river was the now dried up, located not too far away from Su Ming. That part of the river was just a section of its enormous body. In truth, it was heinously difficult for the river to completely dry up. Before long, it would automatically recover. It was so long that it practically cut through the entire land of the shamans. As Su Ming spoke, the dragon vein that was the long river responded to him, and at the same time, a large amount of earthen aura instantly shot out from within it, charging towards where Su Ming was. If anyone looked from the sky, they would find that the earthen aura around Su Ming had become much thicker, especially after the earthen aura from the dragon vein that was the river fused with the rest. It made the area around Su Ming seem as if an azure dragon made of earthen aura had established itself there. Thou shalt now receive the 6 upon 7 days of punishment. Di Qian stared at Su Ming coldly from the sky and lifted his right hand to point at him sitting on the ground. The 9 dragons of Yin immediately started roaring in the sky and charged towards downwards. The 9 dragons of Yin roared ferociously, and the endless faces on their bodies continued wailing, causing the sky to fill with a ghastly air. Even the stars became indistinct. As they closed in, Su Ming lifted his head and raised his hands from the ground to form seals. He placed his left hand on his right hand, then pointed at the incoming 9 dragons of Yin with one finger. Dragon veins of earth, dragon of earthen aura, destroy the skies with earth. A large amount of blood flowed out from Su Ming's mouth. At the same time, the azure dragon made of earthen aura lying around him lifted its head and let out a howl towards the sky. It did not move its entire body, only lifted its head to charge towards the 9 dragons of Yin. Compared to the azure dragon, the 9 dragons of Yin could not even be called dragons. They could only be considered as snakes. Both sides collided with each other in midair within an instant. Rumbling sounds exploded from the spot, and they started rapidly spreading outwards, stirring up a large amount of ripples and force, causing cracks that looked like fish scales to appear in the sky, and those cracks continued spreading. Once the 9 dragons of Yin crashed into the dragon of earthen aura, they started disappearing, turning into 9 green threads that charged into the body of the dragon of earthen aura. As they swam in its body, it caused the dragon of earthen aura to let out a pained howl. A large amount of earthen aura from several hundreds of thousands of lees around Su Ming surged towards him, and eventually, it forced the 9 threads to disappear into his body. Yet at that moment, Su Ming's entire body shuddered violently and he coughed out a huge mouthful of blood. 9 threads appeared on his body, and those 9 threads swam under his skin, plunging him into an indescribable pain. Cold sweat broke out on his entire body. That sort of pain that drilled itself into the heart was one that could make the minds of powerful warriors crumble. However, Su Ming only laughed in the face of that pain. It was not a chuckle. He threw his head up and laughed. This pain is nothing. Di Qian, what else can you do? Just bring it all out. Su Ming's face was stark white. As he laughed, the pain in his body became even more violent. The 9 threads had already disappeared from his skin and had crawled into his body. Su Ming decided at that point that he would not endure that pain and simply let it spread through his entire body. He struggled to lift both his hands up and pointed at Di Qian. Immediately, the dragon of earthen aura around him let out a roar and charged upwards. Di Qian's expression remained as aloof as ever. He stood there and did not move even the slightest bit to dodge the dragon. However, before the dragon of earthen aura managed to close in on him, the 6 to 7 protruding bumps in the sky burst open simultaneously, and when they did so, a large amount of liquid fell like rain from the sky. A foul stench filled the entire world, and as the tainted rainwater fell down, the dragon of earthen aura was drenched. It shuddered and let out a shrill scream of pain. Its body shrank continuously, and the earthen aura around Su Ming also started rapidly shrinking. Chapter 403, I Will Not Be an Immortal. At the same time Su Ming went through the pain of the threads crawling into his heart, bumps appeared on various spots of his body. These bumps were almost the exact same as the bumps that had previously exploded in the sky, causing him to no longer look like a human. The pain made Su Ming's laughter grow louder. His body shot into the air with one leap, and as the dragon of earthen aura continuously shrank, he started forming seals with his hands. Once he entered the head of the dragon, he brought the dragon of earthen aura with him while charging towards the sky belonging to the immortals. As the 6 to 7 bumps exploded in the sky, the 6 to 7 black cicada-like insects with wings growing from their backs charged out. As these strange insects screeched, they charged towards the dragon of earthen aura. They all crashed into each other in the sky once again. Booming sounds echoed in the air once more. The dragon of earth and aura had already completely flown off the ground and did not care about those insects crawling into its body. Neither did Su Ming care about the intense pain in his body. With the dragon of earth and aura, he charged towards the sky belonging to the immortals. Di Qian, if you can bring down heavenly punishment, then I would rather destroy heaven itself and destroy my blood as an immortal forever. I will no longer be an immortal. As the red-haired Su Ming howled in fury, he crashed into that sky along with the dragon of earth and aura. Booming sounds reverberated through the air. Ripples, waves, and cracks started appearing in the sky. Yet similarly, that dragon of earth and aura started shattering inch by inch. Once it rammed its entire body into the sky, it crumbled and started dissipating. Su Ming coughed out a huge mouthful of blood. There was not a spot on his body that did not hurt. His entire body was covered by a large amount of bugs, and the aura of death started coming off his body. As for the sky belonging to the immortals, it only suffered a ring of cracks, and those cracks were rapidly recovering right as he watched. Thine appearance was a mere incident. It is finished. Thy soul shalt disappear under the punishment of 6 upon 7 days. All shalt return to its original state. Finished? Not just yet. Right after Di Qian said those words, the red-haired Su Ming called out with a strange voice. He spoke that despite having his entire body torn apart by the swarm of black insects, despite having the boils bursting apart on him, despite having the 9 threads shredding his organs, and despite having a dense layer of aura of death emanating from his body. I remember now. I am not Su Ming. I am Hong Luo. I am the progenitor Hong Luo. Su Ming's eyes were originally closed, but at that moment, he opened them, and there was a brilliant light shining within them. Right at the instant before his soul disappeared, his originally faded memories suddenly cleared up as he was pushed towards his death. He remembered his identity. He remembered his own name. I am the progenitor Hong Luo. I am the son of the Emperor of Immortals. Aren't I right, my beloved senior brother, Di Qian? Su Ming's eyes sparkled, and his body trembled. Immediately, his divine sense shot out and pushed all those insects 10 feet backwards, but they were not injured. Those insects rushed towards him once again. I remember now. You were wary in the past, that's why you didn't dare kill me but sealed me in Destiny's body. I remember now. Destiny. Ha ha. Is this body Destiny's body? I remember now. This is the land of the Berserkers. This is the home world of the first god of Berserkers. Once the first god of Berserkers passed away, you invaded this place with the others to execute the plan to kill the second god of Berserkers. When you came back, you brought with you a pair of babies. One of them was dead and the other alive. The one alive must be in whom my soul is residing at this moment. He must be the baby personally named by my father after he examined it himself. The red-haired Su Ming spoke with an eerie voice. Di Qian's expression remained aloof. He did not speak but simply lifted his right hand to point at the red-haired Su Ming. Immediately, the boils on Su Ming's body rotted away, and the insects around him swarmed towards him and crawled into those rotting spots. As they devoured in frenzy, the 9 threads in Su Ming's body also pierced through his heart. The aura of death enveloped the red-haired Su Ming, and a strange smile suddenly appeared at the corners of his lips. My dear senior brother, could you perhaps have forgotten about this one art I have with me? This is also the reason you couldn't kill me, right? Because of the origin ancient art we have as members of the Immortals royal family. Enduring 10 lives. The moment the smile appeared on the red-haired Su Ming's lips, all his life force abruptly disappeared and he breathed his last. However, the instant he died, his disappeared life force immediately reappeared, and this time, his presence became much stronger. Those black insects that had crawled into his body immediately fell back and exploded outside his body, turning into a large amount of black fog that tumbled backwards. His body started rapidly recovering. The rotting wounds caused by the boils instantly healed. Even the 9 threads that had crawled into his body were once again forced under the layer of his skin, and they looked as if they were about to be forced out of his body as well. When I say you must die, then you must die, because there can be no 2 rulers. Di Qian's expression still remained unchanged. He said those words unhurriedly, but the moment he spoke them, the recovery of the red-haired Su Ming's life force came to an abrupt halt. Not only was it forced to a stop, it also started showing signs of reversal. The recovered wounds appeared once again, and the 9 threads that had been forced under the skin crawled into Su Ming's body once again. The black insects that had shattered and dissolved into black fog around him appeared out of nowhere, and gathered together to turn into the 6 to 7 tiny black insects once again. Then, as if time had went back, they charged towards Su Ming. This is the ancient art that is only inherited by those possessing the blood of the royal family of the immortals. You actually mastered it. Looks like my father's fate was grim. The red-haired Su Ming's face was pale as he spoke bitterly. You should not have awakened. It is still long before the seal is to be released. Now, I have restored order, and everything has returned to normal. Di Qian spoke calmly and lifted his right hand, swinging it at the red-haired Su Ming. Immediately, a gust of wind from emptiness itself appeared before the red-haired Su Ming. The instant it touched his body, he was surrounded by the aura of death. A large part of his body started decaying. The black insects tore at his flesh, and his organs had already been pierced through by those threads. There was only a hint of his life left, and that hint was also rapidly fading. As the wind from Di Qian's swing landed on Su Ming's body, a gust of red air immediately spread from Su Ming's eyes, ears, nose, and mouth that turned into an illusory figure behind him. The appearance of that figure was different from Su Ming's. He had a handsome face that gave off a strangely enchanting feeling. That was the real Hong Luo. At that moment, his illusionary body was rapidly fading away. As his soul was forced out of Su Ming's body, those insects in Su Ming's body crawled out simultaneously to charge at the soul. The 9 threads also flew out and seeped into Hong Luo's disappearing soul. At the same time, the 6 to 7 boils manifested on Hong Luo's illusory figure, and they were rapidly bursting apart. Am I about to die? Is this how it feels to die? But I don't regret it. A dazed look appeared the illusory figure of Hong Luo's soul before he started laughing loudly. As the soul was separated from Su Ming's body, the wind that was blowing against him surged inside in an overbearing manner, causing the injuries suffered by his organs to instantly recover. The rot on his body also disappeared immediately, causing him to return to the exact same manner before he was injured. The power within his body also started clearing away all of Hong Luo's power, the power which had made him become powerful so swiftly. All of this was happening just as Di Qian had said. He wanted to restore order. He wanted to return everything back to the state before this accident happened, forcing everything to act according to his will. He would not allow any more accidents to happen. Yet right at the instant Di Qian's power started restoring things to the original state in Su Ming's body, Hong Luo, in his days as he continued disappearing, seemed to have seen something, and a blank look immediately appeared on his face. A glint suddenly shone in his eyes, and he immediately turned his eyes to look towards Su Ming, who had his eyes tightly shut. Destiny. Destiny. I understand now. Di Qian, I understand now. So this is your plan. If that's the case, before I die, I will help him. Hong Luo suddenly laughed loudly. A strange light appeared in his eyes, and the instant his body disappeared, the illusory figure of his soul suddenly erupted in flames. The ancient legacy of the blood kin of immortals, path to life. As Hong Luo laughed, the illusory figure of his soul continued burning. At that moment, only his head was left, and 2 rays of dark light shone in his eyes before they flew out and landed on Su Ming's body. All of this happened too quickly, and for the first time, Di Qian's expression changed. He lifted his right hand and pointed forward. The instant those 2 rays of dark light closed in on Su Ming, they immediately shattered into dark sparks before scattering away. Yet at that moment, those scattered dark sparks gathered up together once again, and with a speed Di Qian could not stop, they shot into the center of Su Ming's brows. Instantly, the energy of the dark sparks erupted in Su Ming's body with a bang, crashing against Di Qian's force that was clearing up the power within him. Those 2 waves of force clashed against each other in his body, causing blood to trickle out of the unconscious Su Ming's mouth and his body to pummel down the ground. Right then, even Di Qian did not notice that under the guidance of the dark light left behind by Hong Luo, Su Ming was plummeting towards the mountain in the land of the shamans underneath, right at the octagonal altar at its top, and straight towards the stone coffin at the center of the altar. At that moment, even as the illusionary figure of Hong Luo's soul burned and gradually disappeared mid-air, his laughter and his voice continued echoing endlessly in the world. I have practiced Taoism for 30,000 years. Now I shall turn back and become a mortal. I will not be an immortal. Hong Luo's ancient voice gradually faded away, but his words echoed in Di Qian's ears, and they also echoed in Su Ming's soul. Su Ming's body landed on the coffin at the center of the octagonal peak of the tower with a crash. Blood flowed out of the corners of his mouth and fell on the coffin. With an expressionless face, Di Qian turned around and walked towards the peak of the mountain on the ground, or more precisely, towards Su Ming lying at the cover of the coffin at the center of the octagonal altar. His emperor's robe had already become dull. Even his crown had lost its golden glow. A large amount of wrinkles had appeared on his face. At that moment, he no longer looked as if he was a middle-aged man. Clearly, the fight against Hong Luo was not as easy as he had made it seem. All is over. Di Qian landed on the octagonal altar, but the instant he got closer to Su Ming, for the first time, his expression drastically changed. Because he saw a pair of eyes. Su Ming had opened his eyes. Chapter 404, Big Brother. The sky was blue and there were white clouds floating past. The sight was gorgeous. However, the icy coldness beneath his body, the freezing wind around him, his eyes, which he could not open, and the sharp stabs of pain spreading through his body caused the blue in the sky to only be a color only from his memories and the white clouds to only be a figment of his imagination. Once everything was torn apart, then what remained was loneliness, grief, and fear that he could not speak of. Today is a good day. Big brother, the sky is blue, and there are a lot of white clouds up ahead. Look, that cloud is like a rabbit, and that one is, that one kind of looks like a gray wolf. The tender voice by his ears seemed to make the darkness before his eyes gradually disappear. That voice ripped apart all the shadows and the blue sky returned. There was also a rabbit-shaped cloud in the sky. By its side, there also was the cloud in the shape of the wolf. Ah, big brother. That cloud looks like you. It really looks like you. There's a cloud by its side. That one's like me. That young voice was the only warmth in that dark world of his. It was also that voice that was explaining the differences of colors to him. It was telling him what was black, what was blue, and what was white. Every single time that voice spoke, he would stop feeling cold, he would stop feeling lonely, he would stop feeling that there was an innumerable amount of days filled only with night in this endless darkness. Even if the pain in his body was becoming increasingly more difficult to bear, even if once in a while, he would feel as if there was someone cutting into him to squeeze out his blood, he did not feel that it was unbearable. As long as he could hear that voice often, if he could just listen to that voice for eternity. Big brother, cultivation is so tiring. I don't want to be a cultivator anymore, but father said we must become cultivators or else you will die. Big brother, don't die. I'll continue with my cultivation. It's not tiring at all. It's not tiring? If it's not tiring, then why does her voice sound so weak? I can't see it, but I can sense it. She's very tired. Is my death related to her cultivation? Father, is it that cold voice? If it is, then don't listen to him. Every single time he comes, I go through so much pain I want to die. He called me Destiny. Is that my name? It should be, it shouldn't be. Big brother, it's a clear day outside. Ah, the weather has been clear for a very long time. You must really like sunny days, that's why the weather is this way. Is the weather clear? Silly girl. The only senses I have left in my body are my hearing and my touch. You're holding an umbrella, but it's not covering my feet. Those water droplets on my feet must be rain. It should be. I heard from others talking that it has been raining for a month. Big brother, I saw other big sisters. They're really pretty, but why am I so small? I'm only younger than them by a year. Ah, but I still look like a child. But big brother, you look really handsome. Heh, I heard from my senior sister that she likes being beside you. Big brother, you have to wake up soon, all right? Father said you're about to wake up soon, but I've been hearing him say that since I was young. They like being beside me. But every single time those senior sisters of yours come, a large amount of my presence would disappear. Silly girl, it's not me they just like coming here and absorbing the immortal chi from my body. I heard them mention it when they were chatting. They thought I couldn't hear it. Silly girl, all the people who come here harbor ulterior motives towards us. I heard far too many of their conversations. Big brother, father has been acting really strange lately. He hits me often. I've been working really hard in my cultivation. I've been listening to his requests and helping his other sect members train. They surround me every single time, and when we train together, I feel my body becoming weaker. I can feel that their gazes are different when they look at me. It's as if they're looking at a medicinal pill. Those damn immortals. Once I open my eyes and I can move my body, I'll kill all of you. I don't care if you absorb my immortal chi, but how could you lay your hands on her as well? She's still just a child. How could you do this for your own cultivation? How could you? Is it not enough that you're absorbing mine? All of you have my immortal chi in your bodies. I swear, if I ever stand up, then I will definitely make all of you pay. Big brother, I'm really tired today. Let me lay down beside you. I'm really tired. Sleep. I'll protect you. I'll transfer my power as an immortal into your body so that you won't be tired tomorrow. If only I could see, then I would be able to tell the difference between day and night. Then I could find you among the sea of people around us and hold your hand. Wouldn't that be wonderful? If only I could stand up, then I would be able to fly with you in the sky. Then I could go to the end of the sky and earth with you. Wouldn't that be wonderful? If only I could speak, then I would be able to laugh with you. Then I would be able to point at the sky and draw the blue sky and the white clouds. Wouldn't that be wonderful? But I can't. I can't see, I can't move, I can't speak. The world I see is dark. There are no colors. The only thing I feel is pain and loneliness. Big brother, I've been feeling really sleepy lately. I feel that I've become shorter. I don't look pretty anymore. No one likes me, I can tell. You're the only one who'll stay by my side, right? Big brother, does it hurt? Don't be sad. I have a dream. Once my level of cultivation rises, I'll take you away. Silly girl, it's useless. I know them. He's not your father, neither is he my father. His name is Di Qian. Big brother, I won't be able to see you for some time. They're taking me to a place. Once I come back, I'll come see you again. Big brother, you have to wake up soon. I can feel your tears on my body. I can sense that cold gaze looking at me while you're crying. Fei, we have to leave now. That cold voice echoing in the air gradually faded out. My world turned dark once again. I can't hear her voice anymore. There is no more blue sky, no more white clouds. There is only emptiness, loneliness, cold, rain, snow, the chilling wind, that endless pain, and those disgusting people absorbing my power and their revolting presences. I also feel time flowing past. I don't know how many years have passed by. That voice I heard by my ears never appeared again. My time has been dark like this ever since. I want to open my eyes. I have to open my eyes, because I want to search for you. I want to search for the blue sky that belongs to me. I want to see what shade of blue the sky has, and I want to look for the voices filled with joy. I want to go back, because so many years have passed by, and I have lost all contact with you. Where are you? My sister, are you well? I want to speak, because I want to ask all of them how you are now. You mustn't end up as I am now. Because you are my eyes. When Di Qian brought those two babies back with him, you were the one alive, and I was the one dead. A dream. Su Ming opened his eyes and saw the sky, the clouds, the colors in the world. In his mind, the dream that brought him grief still lingered. Confusion appeared in his eyes, but that confusion only lasted for an instant before it turned into deathly stillness. Those were a pair of deadly still, terrifyingly calm eyes. The instant Di Qian saw those eyes, his forever calm heart shuddered. Su Ming looked at Di Qian and sat up slowly from the coffin, The scar left behind on Dark Mountain was shining with a blood-red light at that moment. That light caused Su Ming to be filled with a strange and eerie air. The instant he saw Di Qian, his pupils shrank. A countless amount of pictures suddenly flashed past in his eyes and eventually stopped at a void filled with endless darkness. Over there was a middle-aged man who did not wear any emperor's robe, just a long robe, and he was sitting cross-legged on a gigantic head. The person wearing the emperor's robe right now, standing before him, was incredibly similar to that middle-aged man in the void. Di Qian, we meet again. Su Ming lowered his head and rubbed the center of his brows. A barely noticeable glint flashed past his eyes and he sat up on the coffin. His hair was no longer red and had returned to its original shade. The mark of the peach blossom was still there at the center of his brows, but it had become much dimmer. Di Qian's pupils shrank for the first time. He did not speak, merely stared at Su Ming as if he was observing him. Su Ming rubbed the center of his brows with his left hand, then the instant his gaze swept past the coffin by his side, his heart trembled for some unknown reason. It was as if his heart had been emptied out, and a pain that was almost akin to the pain of asphyxiation rose within him. He saw those scenes filled with darkness once again. Everything in the dream and that young voice. Su Ming's heart trembled. He was greatly confused by everything before him. He only remembered that he was struck by Madame G's peach blossom fiend, and that thing had stirred the most primitive desire in his body. Once he went to White Bull Tribe, he forced that urge down and struggled to return to his cave abode. Before he lost control of himself, he used Han Mountain Bell to seal himself up, then sank into a long coma. Even if he occasionally woke up, he remembered that he was still in Han Mountain Bell. When he opened his eyes again after the last time he fell unconscious, he saw the person that had made his heart tremble. The man wearing the emperor's robe was the person who had appeared sitting on the head when he went through that unknown amount of years in the void, the person he saw when Han Mountain's ancestor possessed him. This person's appearance made Su Ming's heart tremble. Originally, he should not have been able to control this sudden change of emotion, but for some unknown reason, he managed to control it, and in a very ingenious manner to boot, and it was all done subconsciously. It was as if this was a natural ability that was waking up within him right then. But that was not all. Su Ming also noticed that his head seemed to be much clearer than before. There were some unfamiliar yet strangely familiar scenes flashing in his mind. They felt like memories he'd had since a long time ago but which had been sealed up, and right then, these memories were showing signs of recovering upon his waking. It was especially so the instant he saw the coffin. The strong feeling made him pat the coffin lightly while looking calm on the outside. That one pat immediately made the coffin's lid shatter and disappear in an endless amount of shards, causing the thing inside to be revealed clearly. There was a stone statue lying in the coffin, and that statue was of a girl. She had long hair and did not look incredibly pretty. There was a hint of pain on her face, and that look was enough to make others grow compassionate towards her. Her petite figure did not seem to have grown fully. She seemed to only be around 15 or 16 years of age, but there was an ancient look on her face that could not be hidden away, and it clearly showed her true age. That statue looked incredibly vivid, containing almost everything that could be found on the girl. Clearly, this was not the work of an ordinary person. The now awakened Su Ming looked at the stone statue in the coffin and his heart roared loudly. This was the first time he saw this girl, but for some unknown reason, the instant he saw her, extreme pain struck his heart. The young voice from his dreams echoed in his ears once again. Big brother, the sky is blue. Big brother, I'm a little tired. Big brother, they're taking me to a place. When I come back, I'll come see you. Big brother, hurry up and wake up. Chapter 405, Gate to the Void. Su Ming looked at the stone statue of the petite girl in the coffin. As he looked at her face, that young voice traveled forth from his memories to his ears, causing a hint of sorrow to appear on his face. You're awake. Di Qian remained silent for a moment before he spoke calmly. The hint of shock that appeared previously on his face had disappeared by now. He became aloof once again. I remember her. Su Ming mumbled. He suddenly understood. That dream was perhaps not a dream. The sorrow in his eyes gradually became stronger and it would not disappear. His eyes glistened and tears fell down from his eyes, falling onto the stone statue. At the same time, the instant those tears fell on the stone statue, new scenes appeared in his mind. In those scenes, Su Ming saw himself, and that himself had red hair and red robes. He saw his red-haired self walking out of the cave abode and drawing out earthen aura to turn it into a crimson dragon. He saw himself absorbing power from a large amount of powerful warriors in the land of the shamans wherever he went, not even letting go of some of the powerful ferocious beasts he could find. He also saw his red-haired self heading to Autumn Sea Tribe and sealing the heavens with just a lift of his hand. Once he also sealed that Zhongzi in the sky, he brought his hands down and sealed the land, and once he sealed all the members of Autumn Sea Tribe, he walked towards the sacred lady of Autumn Sea Tribe, then picked Xianxia up and left the place with his red hair dancing in the wind. Su Ming saw that Art of the Dragon subject, Xianxia, saw the entire procedure of his red-haired self-casting that art with Xianxia. It was as if Hong Luo's trip during those short few days was flashing past Su Ming's eyes at a much faster pace. He also saw his red-haired self fighting against the old immortal and the halberd from the sky executing him in an incredibly domineering way, and also, himself casting the Art of the Dragon subject, Xianxia, on the long-haired woman. Right up to the moment the sacred mountain of the shaman tribe appeared, right up to the moment Di Qian appeared and engaged him in that earth-shattering fight. Eventually, his memory stopped at the instant Hong Luo's soul disappeared, while laughing and sending into his body the path to life. I have practiced Taoism for 30,000 years. Now I shall turn back and become immortal. I will not be an immortal. That boisterous laughter stirred up layers of ripples in Su Ming's mind, and when it eventually disappeared, it turned into a hoarse and ancient voice. Listen up, boy. I have a deep grudge against Di Qian, but his strength has surpassed what I remember. I don't know how long I have been sealed away, and now I'm about to die as a mortal, but I'm not willing to. I am the son of the Emperor of Mortals. With the legacy art of the royal family, path to life, I give you the power to release your seal. This art will become stronger the higher your level of cultivation is, and it will help you break the seal on your memories. It can also transform your blood and let you possess the purest blood among all immortals. Within that blood rests all my Tao, my arts, my divine abilities. All of them will belong to you. I'm burning up what little remains of my life to cast this path to life and send you to the coffin. I can sense that the coffin is very important to you. Don't bother about the threat of facing Di Qian alone. I've already thought about the way to help you solve that problem. As long as you can hear these words, then it'll definitely succeed. The path to life can only be passed down to one person in each generation of the royal family, and once it's mastered by that person, no matter how talented the others are, they won't be able to learn it. This is a dead-set rule. All the scions of this art can only cast this once in their lives. It doesn't contain any offensive abilities and can only be used to pass down the inheritance. That's why Di Qian doesn't know the path of life. He also doesn't know that this art can open the gate to the void, which can relocate you. This is originally a path to escape for us in case an emergency happens while we're passing down the inheritance. I left a mark at the place I woke up previously, and the gate can send you back there. Once the gate to the void opens, Di Qian won't be able to interfere with his power. The path to life can also cover up your presence, causing Di Qian's divine sense to be unable to find you. Then you'll have a period of time where you'll be truly free. I didn't use this art earlier because there is only one chance for me to cast it, and if there is no sign for me, I couldn't cast it anyway. Besides, if I used this art to escape, it'd still be difficult for me to escape being sealed, and I might not have a chance to wake up again. I would rather die. The gate to the void is in your heart. Call it, and it will open. Your level of cultivation isn't high, but when you become a powerful warrior someday, help me take my revenge. Kill Di Qian. Su Ming felt a sharp stab of pain in his head and those scenes instantly disappeared. In truth, he felt that a long time had passed since the scenes appeared right up till they disappeared, but that lapse of time was just his mind replaying those memories. To outsiders, it only lasted for an instant. Before his death, Hong Luo's voice had traveled with the path to life and avoided Di Qian's divine sense to imprint itself on Su Ming's mind. Only when Su Ming woke up would he be able to hear it. As he stared at the stone statue in the coffin, Su Ming lifted his right hand and grabbed the edge of the coffin in a death grip. You shouldn't have awakened. Your current appearance makes me very disappointed. Hong Luo was an accident, and I've already restored order. Sleep, destiny. After a period of silence, Di Qian spoke slowly. Yet the instant his words left his mouth, Su Ming turned around swiftly and stared at Di Qian with his deadly still eyes. No one can seal off my memories again, and neither can you. A strand of hair surrounded Su Ming's right index finger without anyone noticing it. This strand of hair was the materialization of the power of a jab from the god of berserkers, and strangely, when Su Ming's body was under Hong Luo's control, that strand of hair had disappeared as if it had dissipated. Even Hong Luo had been unable to notice it. Yet now, as Su Ming's were returned, that strand of hair also reappeared on him. It did not release any sort of presence when it appeared either. That was why even Di Qian did not pay any attention to Su Ming's right hand seizing the coffin. Naturally, he also did not see the extra strand of hair on his finger. This was Su Ming's trump card. It was also the source of why he could stay calm even after he met Di Qian. He had already decided. The power of that one jab from the god of berserkers, the power that he could not find in himself to use, on this day, he would use it once. Even if he did not know whether he could kill this Di Qian when he used this power, this Di Qian that even Hong Luo could not win against, and even if Hong Luo had already made perfect preparations for him to flee before dying. However, Su Ming did not want to leave just like that. If he did not want to, then there was no need for him to say anything else. Di Qian stared at Su Ming with an aloof and expressionless face. The instant Su Ming looked at him, he lifted his right leg and took a step towards him. As my son, not only did you disappoint me, you're still acting as childishly as ever. With that one step, a wave instantly shot out from beneath Di Qian's foot. The strength of that wave was so powerful that it closed in on Su Ming in an instant. A mighty pressure that could not be challenged swiftly descended on Su Ming, pinning him to his spot. Once the wave swept past his feet, Su Ming shuddered and coughed out a mouthful of blood. Kneel. Di Qian's powerful divine sense and willpower gathered on Su Ming's body, making him feel as if there were heavy mountains pressing on him, causing cracking sounds to appear from his knees, and they started trembling violently. What right do you have to make me kneel? Su Ming gritted his teeth and lifted his head to glare at Di Qian. His legs remained straight. Sharp stabs of pain shot up his body, but they could not make him surrender. You rebellious boy. I brought you up, and you refuse to kneel? Kneel down. Di Qian walked towards Su Ming and closed in on him. At that moment, there was only 30 feet between the two of them. As Di Qian's aloof voice spoke up, with a bang, blood poured out of Su Ming's knees. He staggered. That mighty willpower and pressure felt as if they had physical substance as they pressed on him, and it was not something he could control with his will. His heart might not kneel, but as that pressure continued pushing him down, his right knee started falling to the ground. But the moment his knee was about to touch the ground, Su Ming pressed his left hand on the floor and seized it, causing his right knee to hang 1 inch above it. Besides having power that surpasses mine, what else do you have over me? You can make my body kneel, but you can't make my heart do the same. Su Ming lifted his head and glared at Di Qian with bloodshot eyes and blood trickling down his mouth. Those deadly still eyes made a deathly still calmness also appear on his face. Today, you can make me kneel before you with your power, but in the future, I will definitely make you pay back several-fold for what you did today. And it won't just be you, I will make your entire immortal tribe kneel under my feet. I will make you lower your head before me. I will definitely do it. Su Ming declared with gritted teeth, his determination clear in each and every one of his words. At the same time, he called out the gate to the void in his heart. Di Qian's expression did not change even a single bit in the face of Su Ming's words. He moved to within 20 feet of Su Ming and stared at him coldly, who was only 1 inch away from kneeling down. He looked at the veins popping on his face, at the blood on his knees, at him resisting the endless amount of pressure, which was causing a numerous amount of blood capillaries to appear on his left hand, which was pressing against the ground. I don't need your heart submitting to me as well, it's enough if your body kneels, Di Qian stated slowly, lifting his right hand and moving to point at the center of Su Ming's brows swiftly. Once that finger fell, then everything would return to the state it was in several days ago. Su Ming's memories would be sealed up once again, and when he woke up once more, he would still be confused about his past and future. There would also be a pair of eyes behind him constantly watching his every move. However, the instant Di Qian lifted his finger and was about to touch Su Ming's brows, suddenly, his expression changed. A power that did not belong to Su Ming, a power that seemed like the cold emptiness in the world, erupted forth from his body. That power was so great that the instant it erupted, it made Di Qian's finger freeze. It was as if that power was fighting against him, and within a short few breaths, Di Qian let out a muffled groan and took a step backwards. With that step backwards, the wave surrounding the area around Su Ming instantly disappeared. The divine sense and pressure pressing on his body was bounced off right away. As that power erupted from his body, distortions appeared in the emptiness behind him. An oval-shaped, gigantic vortex formed up. At the same time that vortex appeared, all the movements in the world froze.